All right, so in 2014, GoPro was on top of the world. The company was worth more than Tiffany & Co. Their CEO was the highest paid executive in America, and everyone thought action cameras were the future. Fast forward to today, and GoPro's stock is trading around $1 to $2. The company that was once worth $11 billion is now worth less than $250 million. The CEO who made hundreds of millions, his entire 2014 paycheck is now worth more than the entire company. So what the hell happened? How did GoPro go from revolutionary tech company to penny stock disaster? Let's break it down. The surf trip that started it all. GoPro's origin story is pretty legendary. In 2002, Nick Woodman was an unemployed tech guy who'd already failed at 2 startups. He went on a 5-month surfing trip through Australia and Indonesia and got frustrated because he couldn't get good action shots of himself surfing. So he came up with an idea. What if there was a camera you could strap to your body that could capture those moments? Now, the story usually goes that he was this scrappy underdog who sold shell bead belts out of a VW bus to fund his dream. And yeah, he did do that. But let's be real, Woodman came from money. His dad was a Silicon Valley investment banker. When the bead money wasn't enough, he borrowed $200,000 from his father and $35,000 from his mother. Not exactly the typical broke startup founder story. But credit where it's due. He used that money well. He spent 2 years obsessing over the product. In 2004, the first GoPro launched. It was a 35mm film camera that strapped to your wrist. Couldn't even record video, but it worked. The digital revolution. The real breakthrough came when they went digital. Suddenly, you could record sound and motion with this fisheye lens that made everything look more extreme. A small wave looked huge. A tiny jump looked death-defying. By 2010, GoPro wasn't just selling cameras. They were selling a feeling. They called it Stoke. And their marketing was genius because customers did all the work. Every time someone uploaded a video to YouTube with GoPro in the title, it was free advertising. In 2013 alone, GoPro users uploaded 2.8 years worth of video content. By the time they went public in 2014, they had a 42% market share in action cameras, near monopoly status. The IPO was massive. Nick Woodman's net worth hit $3.9 billion overnight. Everyone thought GoPro was going to be the next Apple. Turns out they weren't. Success hides problems. Here's where things started going wrong, even though nobody noticed yet. Woodman bought a 180-foot yacht and a private jet. He was living the billionaire lifestyle. And both he and the company made a fatal mistake. They believed their own hype. They decided they weren't just a camera company, they were going to be a media empire. In 2015, they announced plans to turn all that user-generated content into a streaming platform that would rival Netflix or Red Bull TV. They were going to make documentaries and shows using GoPro footage. Problem was, nobody wanted that. People liked watching a 30-second clip of someone jumping off a cliff on Instagram. They didn't want to sit down and watch a 30-minute GoPro documentary series. While they were distracted chasing Hollywood dreams, they took their eye off the actual product. The Hero 4-session disaster. In July 2015, they launched the Hero 4-session, a tiny cube-shaped camera priced at $399, same price as their top professional model. Consumers were confused. Why pay the same amount for a camera with fewer features? Sales were terrible. They were forced to slash the price to $299, then to $199. It was their first major public embarrassment. But the real problem was bigger than one bad product, the smartphone problem. See, when GoPro started, phone cameras sucked. They were grainy, fragile, couldn't handle action shots. If you wanted good video, you needed a separate camera. But every year, Apple and Samsung were getting better. By the time the iPhone 6 came out in 2014 and the Galaxy S6 in 2015, they had incredible video stabilization. Suddenly, casual GoPro users didn't need a $400 separate camera anymore. They had a great camera in their pocket that could instantly upload to Instagram. At the same time, the market got flooded with cheap Chinese knockoffs. They weren't as good as GoPro, but they were good enough for most people, and they cost like $50. So GoPro was getting squeezed from both sides. Smartphones taking the high-end casual users, cheap clones taking the budget buyers. Their only hope was loyal customers upgrading. But when reviewers pointed out there wasn't much difference between the Hero 3 and Hero 4, people just kept their old cameras. The financial crash. In Q4 2015, GoPro reported its first quarterly loss since going public. Investors panicked. The stock, which had peaked at $94, crashed to below $12 by February 2016. Then it got worse. The drone disaster. In 2016, drones were the hottest tech. GoPro spent years developing their own, the Karma drone. This was supposed to be their comeback. Instead, it became a nightmare. Shortly after launch, Karma drones started literally falling out of the sky. A battery issue meant they could lose power mid-flight. Dangerous and embarrassing. GoPro had to recall every single unit in November 2016. Their drone dreams died immediately. The desperate years. By 2018, GoPro was in full crisis mode. Nick Woodman, who'd been the highest paid CEO in America, cut his salary to $1, though he still had millions in stock options. They shut down the entire entertainment division, laid off 15% of the workforce in 2016, exited the drone market completely in 2018 and fired hundreds more, then cut another 20% of staff. The company was bleeding money. In desperation, they tried pivoting to subscriptions. They launched GoPro Plus, cloud storage and editing tools for $50 a year. By 2021, they had 1.6 million subscribers. Sounded good, but the cost of acquiring those customers was high, and people kept canceling after a few months. The pandemic gave them a brief bump as people bought cameras for outdoor activities, but it didn't last. The new competition. While GoPro was trying to sell cloud storage, the tech landscape shifted again. A company called Insta360 started eating their lunch. They weren't just making action cameras, they were making 360-degree cameras with invisible selfie sticks and AI editing software. GoPro looked like a legacy company trying to protect old territory instead of an innovator defining the future. The 2024 restructuring. On August 19, 2024, GoPro announced another massive restructuring. They were cutting 15% of remaining staff and slashing $50 million in operating expenses. This wasn't trimming fat, this was an admission that they needed to shrink just to survive. Where they are now. By late 2025, the transformation from Wall Street darling to penny stock was complete. The stock that traded at nearly $100 a decade ago now sits around $1 to $2, market cap below $250 million. To put that in perspective, in 2014, GoPro was worth more than Best Buy or Tiffany & Co. Today, Nick Woodman's 2014 compensation package is worth more than the entire company. And here's the kicker. Because of GoPro's dual-class stock structure, Woodman still controls the majority of voting power. Even as the company sinks, shareholders can't easily fire him. What went wrong? So what's the lesson here? GoPro made an incredible product. The Hero cameras are legitimately great pieces of engineering. They changed how we capture extreme sports and action footage. But a great product isn't always a great business. They didn't adapt when smartphones started eating their casual user base. They wasted time and money chasing media empire dreams instead of focusing on hardware. They let hubris take over when they should have been fortifying their defenses. Nick Woodman wanted to be the next Steve Jobs. He wanted to build an ecosystem. Instead, he built a really good camera that you only need to buy once. And in the world of Wall Street, that's not enough. Investors want recurring revenue, constant upgrades, ecosystem lock-in. GoPro had none of that. My take. Honestly, GoPro's fall is kind of tragic because they genuinely created something cool and innovative. They opened up a whole new category of cameras. But they got drunk on success too fast. The yacht, the private jet, the media company dreams, all of it was built on the assumption that everyone would keep buying new GoPros every year. When that didn't happen, they had no backup plan. Could they have survived if they'd stayed focused on being the best action camera company? Maybe, but they wanted to be more than that, and that ambition killed them. The future. As of now, GoPro is still around. They're still making cameras, but they're a shell of what they once were. The battery's blinking red, as they say. Can they turn it around? I doubt it. The smartphone cameras keep getting better. The competition keeps getting cheaper, and GoPro has already burned through most of their goodwill with investors. But who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us. What do you think? Do you own a GoPro? Did you used to have one but stopped upgrading? And do you think they could have avoided this collapse if they'd made different choices? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this breakdown showed you what really happened to GoPro, hit that like button and subscribe, because I love covering these stories about companies that had everything going for them and still managed to crash and burn. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.